Hello, Chirp Chirp, Aaron Bearden here to talk about yet another bowl game. Today I'm going to be talking about the Beef O'Brady's Bowl in St. Petersburg, Florida. One that a lot of Ball State people have in mind from last year, but we're not going there this year, and we probably don't want to talk about last year's either, because UCF kind of drilled us. But this year it's going to be featuring Eastern Carolina, the Pirates out of the Conference USA, and the Bobcats of Ohio out of the MAC. So let's just dive right in. I'm going to talk about the favorites in this game, Eastern Carolina. These guys went 9-3 this year. They've been solid for a few years now. They went 6-2 in Conference USA and almost went to the Conference USA title game. They had a little easier schedule than some teams do. Their non-conference was kind of weak. However, they did have a big win at North Carolina, and they won at Middle Tennessee, who wasn't bad. They kind of just threaded the needle and did decent all year. They won at NC State. That was a huge one because NC State was pretty solid. They lost 15-10 in a close home game against Virginia Tech. They got beat by the upset team I mentioned my last video, Tulane, 36-33 in overtime at home. And with a chance to go to the Conference USA title game, they lost at Marshall, and it wasn't even close. It was 59-28 in that game. And that is what kept them from having a shot at the Conference USA title game and getting bumped down to the Beef O'Brady's Bowl. These guys, however, are a pretty solid team. They really won every game they were supposed to, and every loss they had was an understandable loss. All three teams they lost to were going to bowl games. All three teams did better than expected. All three teams were very solid. These guys, they aren't a huge offensive team, but they put up decent yardage. They're 36th in the nation passing with 273 yards a game. And they run for 135, which is only 92nd in the nation, but it's still not bad. These guys put up and give up about 31 to 32 points a game. They're pretty consistent with that. It's almost exact on the differential. It's almost exact 0-0. You know what you're getting into going into it. Overall, these guys are just really solid. They've been in bowl games 7 of the last 8 years. So, I mean, you kind of know what you're getting into with these guys. They're always going to be in a bowl game. They always show up. It ought to be a pretty good game for them. Anyways, let's get on to some action and talk about the Ohio Bobcats. These guys, they really weren't that good. I'm just going to say it. They started off the year at Louisville and did about as good as you expect to do starting the year off at Louisville. They lost 49-7. The third week of the season was kind of their surprising game. They beat Marshall, same team that I just mentioned drilled Eastern Carolina. They beat them 34-31 at home. Also, the week before that, they beat North Texas, who was pretty solid. They beat Ball State this year. But as the year went on and they got into conference play, Ohio struggled. They beat the teams they were supposed to: Akron, Eastern Michigan, Miami of Ohio, Massachusetts, all terrible teams. But they lost at home against Central Michigan, 26-23. And then in 3 consecutive weeks, they got beat by 3 of the better MAC teams: Buffalo, Bowling Green, and Kent State, by scores of 30-3, 49-0, and 44-13. Overall, these guys they didn't live up to the usual Ohio standards this year. They went 7-5, and their name got them in this bowl game because they've been one of the better teams in the MAC recently, but they just really weren't that good. They were 53rd in the nation passing, 241 yards a game from Tyler Tettleton. They rushed for over 200 a game at 203. That's thanks to one of my favorite names in college football, Bo Blankenship. They score about 32 points a game, and they actually only gave up about 25. So they do have a good point differential, but you have to put into consideration the strength of schedule for that. These guys really didn't play anybody outside of a couple big MAC games and that surprise win against Marshall. So if you were just to use the common opponent, you would think Ohio was going to just stomp Eastern Carolina. But honestly, I don't personally think that they're that good. They're well-rounded. They know what they're doing. They're well-coached. They're going to give them a game. But I think Eastern Carolina is a lot more solid. They put up a lot of yards. They put up a pretty good amount of points. Shane Carden led the conference in Conference USA passing with 3,800 yards, and he threw for 32 touchdowns too. So this guy's pretty solid. I haven't really seen Eastern Carolina, but everything I've seen about them this year says they're well-rounded and they're going to give them a good game. And I think the spread really shows that. They're actually 14-point favorites as I make this video. It's stayed pretty consistently around that, and I think that's going to kind of hold up. And I think they are actually going to win this game, let's say 38-24, Eastern Carolina. So the Mac's going to get its second straight loss in the Beef O'Brady's Bowl. Sorry, guys.